Chris Eubank and Conor Benn just clashed in a fight that had fans on the edge of their seats. As the dust settled, boxing experts couldn't hold back their reactions, offering sharp insights into the explosive showdown.
No, good fight, good fight. You don't want nothing more. As a boxing fan, that was fantastic. Enjoyed every second of it. Good fight, I'm happy.
What did you think of Eubank's performance? Do you think he won the fight?
Yeah, I think he won the fight. It's a good fight though, really close, really close. Everything was...
Yeah, for sure. What do you think Eubank should do, or do you think they should run it back, Fraser?
Of course, it's a business. They can run it back, man.
It surprised me. I didn't know he had what he had in him. I really didn't. I thought I would break him early. I underestimated him. You know, I didn't train for a fight like that. You know, I didn't know he had that in him.
Forget that, just unbelievable respect for both men. I could not be prouder of Conor Benn for what he's been through and the heart that he showed in the ring tonight. You know, Nigel Benn was the people's champion. Tonight, Conor Benn become the people's champion.
How do you feel, Senior?
Extraordinary performance. And I give credit to Conor Benn because let me tell you what, I was always right. What did I say to you? He's an extraordinary fighter, but the promoters are bringing him up, which is spoiling his weight at 147. What did I say? I've been saying it for what, 2 years? That man can go across to the United States and actually tear it up. And you saw that. You saw that. Junior is too big a man. These weights that they are flouting they're destroying the fighters.
I saw my 100-metre sprint from Ben Whittaker, so I promised myself I'd keep it calm tonight, but I couldn't be more happy, more proud. Look, I have to be honest, I was shocked. I was shocked at what an unbelievable fight it was. I was shocked at how good Conor Benn was. I'm okay to say that. I think Eubank Jr got the shock of his life in those early rounds. And then he just came on strong, dug deep and showed his class, and those last 2 rounds were phenomenal. But unbelievable fight, and an unbelievable night, and great for Senior to be here as well.
How did you score it, Ben?
Probably 3 or 4 rounds in Junior's favour, but as I say, I think those last 2 rounds were really what took Junior far ahead. I think it was nip and tuck up into that. Look, for me, Junior should be winning in more devastating fashion, in my opinion. But Conor Benn was phenomenal. I look, maybe I've underestimated Conor Benn. I did not expect it to be like that. I thought he was really, really good. I thought Chris had to end up being really, really good, and we just saw a phenomenal fight. I mean, for any boxing fan watching that for the first time, what do you think? You see Eubank, you see Ben, you see Chris Senior, you see the emotion, you see the family ties, and then you get to see a 12-round unbelievable fight. It's the greatest advert for British boxing we've had in a long time.
Some people call that DNA. I say like this.
Guys, move to one side, please. One side, please.
Did that fight live up to expectation?
Yes, it did, but I believe it's a draw. Both fighters, nobody needs to lose today. It's a f***ing draw.
If you had to give it to someone, anyone edged it?
No. They f***ing worked hard in the gym. They trained hard, so f*** that. It's a draw.
Better, a lot better, bro. A lot better. What a fight it was. Just massive props to Conor Benn, bro. He's a welterweight at the end of the day. He come up, great fight. I had it a draw personally. Yeah, I had it a draw. Very close fight. Done their fathers proud, done the boxing world proud, and yeah, brilliant, bro.
What were the key moments for Eubank? What do you think won him the fight?
I think it was the little bursts he kept doing at the end of the last 3 rounds, and I think the only thing that kind of played in his part was the experience. But then I keep saying that, but then I still had it a draw. But yeah, I think they should do it again.
If one was to win, who would you have given it to?
Oh, it's a bit of a hard one, that, but I'd probably have to pick Eubank, only because he pushed the pace. And like I said, that's due to experience. But yeah.
What a fight, lived up to the hype. Yeah, it was a great fight, what can I say? You know what I mean? I think Eubank did enough to win, but very competitive all the way through. On edge of your seat, it was good.
Were you impressed by Conor? Because ultimately he was the lighter fighter in there tonight.
Yeah, you know, Eubanks is no Golovkin. You know what I mean? You could see the weight. He started to look tired, but you know, Conor had that energy. You know, moving up the weight, he had more energy inside him. But you know what I mean, equally matched. You know what I mean. It lived up to the hype, and you know what I mean. They didn't let the fans down.
Is that how you scored it? 116, 112?
I don't know. I had him 2 rounds. I had him in the last couple. It were neck and neck, and then I had the last couple of rounds where he took it.
What do you think Conor would have to do different in a rematch?
I don't know. I think he would have learned loads from that fight. You know, I would have liked him to start. You know, in the smaller fight, use his jab more. You know, more twitches, more feints. You know, worked a better game plan. But you know, he didn't do much wrong. To be fair, you know, he fought best with his ability.
I feel pretty good. I mean, I thought he fought again. I'm the type of guy, I pay homage to both fighters. I thought they both put their hearts on the line.
Yeah.
I thought they both gave everything they had. And if they could have gave more to the crowd, they would have gave more.
Yeah.
I think the biggest winner was Great Britain. Just my opinion. You got 2 native people put on a massive performance just for the hometown.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get that all the time. That's a rare commodity that you can have. So
yeah, for sure.
I think that this fight would be talked about for a very long time.
For sure.
You know, but I'm happy that we get to walk away with the victory, to answer your question.
Of course. Conor started a little bit faster. He was very energetic. Not sure whether that was nervous energy, etc., etc. Where do you think Chris played his part in the fight? Where were his better rounds from your opinion?
I think he met his match. He met him at his. Conor started fast.
Yeah.
Chris matched that.
Okay.
That was the difference in the whole fight. If Chris would have started slow, then the fight would have been totally lopsided.
Yeah.
But because Chris started right away. And a lot of people underestimate one thing when it comes to boxing. Your left hand is here for a reason. You may not knock guys out, but you damn sure can win rounds with it.
Yeah.
His left hand was key. He kept popping his jabs.
Yeah.
You know, and my teacher taught me very well, the late great Emmanuel Stewart, how to use the left hand. Left hand is the key piece. He taught Lennox. I'm sure everybody know who that is. and no one thought he would outbox Holyfield, but he did it. Just using his jab, perfecting his jab. Yeah. That's what it's all about. Yeah. You know, and it's all about the skill of the sport and not just the violence of it. And I thought he did a pretty good job tonight.
Unbelievable atmosphere, incredible fight. You know, the fight really ignited, and you know they both played their part in that. They both battled hard. Neither gave up, neither wanted to give in. The will they both showed was incredible. And Junior at 36 years old, he had to show his resolve there. He had to dig deep into the well and pull it out in the championship rounds. And I was impressed for him to be able to do that at 36 years old. It's impressive.
At the last moment before going out to fight, Chris Eubank Jr. talked about the psychological aids that instill confidence in him, namely visualization. During his interview, Eubank explained how he imagines the battle and possible outcomes, preparing himself mentally for each situation. Such mental preparation, in his view, is no less crucial than physical training. He believes the process, averring that it fosters self-confidence and focus when it matters most. By imagining winning, he conditions his mind to stay calm and efficient within the ring.
You know, you visualize the strategy, the tactics. You know, you watch your opponent, you try and find mistakes and flaws in what they do. So you know, I can't really put a number on that, but yeah, there's been plenty of times where I've ran the scenarios through, and every time I've thought about it, it's ended with me having my hand raised.
Eubank Jr. also expressed his gratitude for the mass support he received from the public. He discussed how individuals would go up to him on the streets with genuine encouragement, wishing him well before the fight. This display of unity and fanfare from common fans helped boost his confidence. The energy and warmth of the crowd reaffirmed that he wasn't stepping into the ring by himself. He had the support of the people, which energized his resolve and justified his conviction of winning.
The British public are involved, you know. I'm walking down the street and it's, you know, people that haven't watched fights before are asking me about what's going to happen, what round should I bet on, I hope you win, you know, old ladies, kids. Yeah, the interest for this I've never seen anything like it in my career so far. So in that aspect, it's different.
Conversely, Conor Benn expressed complete confidence in his training program and regimen. In his interview, he outlined the intensity of his work schedule, explaining how he drives himself to the point of absolute exhaustion day after day. His non-stop work ethic and dedication to excellence have made no room for questioning in his mind. Benn thought his training was so punishing and technical that it equipped him with both the physical equipment and the psychological strength to deal with whatever Eubank could muster.
No, I'm like this all the time. Yeah. I prepare diligently hard. I work so hard, I always have. I'm always trying to make training as hard for me as I possibly can. You know, when I'm sparring fresh sparring partners, I want to know that I've run 10K in the morning. You know, I want to know that, you know, I put in the graft. Like, make it hard for yourself. It's easy to get out of bed and run at 10 AM and spar at 4 PM. You know, it's easy to do that.
This bout had all the spice and the sauce, and both men were seeing the other as enemies rather than foes. The rivalry had escalated ever since Chris Eubank Jr.'s legendary egg slap skit, and the whole climate changed. Things turned personal then, transforming an ordinary bout into a grudge fight based on pride and anger.
The family feud goes on.
Eddie Hearn spoke to the situation, affirming that the game had indeed changed. What started as a professional boxing contest soon turned into a personal grudge. The typical promotional hype was replaced by raw emotion, with pride, ego, and unfinished business at the forefront, making this more than just a fight, but a fight for respect.
Because, you know, at the moment, having been in and seen Conor and Nigel, it is a little bit probably likely attack on sight kind of situation, and the game's changed a little bit, really. Do you know what I mean?
Canelo also weighed in on the egg slap and shared his outspoken opinion, making it clear that he considered it a huge sign of disrespect. His reaction suggested that moments like that changed the energy entirely. What was previously just a competitive fight now had personal significance, with lines crossed and tensions raised above the normal pre-fight hype.
You don't like, and if somebody was to hit you in the face with an egg, what do you think happens?
I probably kill him.
You probably kill him, that's what I would say.
Many well-known analysts also shared their takes on this explosive matchup. Eddie Hearn, being an avid supporter of Conor Benn, made a wistful comparison between the fighters and their iconic fathers. Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Sr., Hearn insisted that although both sons bear the legacy burden, victory would be a matter of who can get over their nerves. In front of 65,000 deafening fans, pressure would be intense. Hearn indicated that psychological toughness, as opposed to skill alone, would decide this new age installment of a century-old family feud.
Eubank is, I think, quite arrogant, just got that face. Then you've got Conor that's very, very emotional, reactive, fired up, you know, like his dad. Like, you've only got to look back at the build-up between their parents in the first fight and second fight. Nigel was like, wanted to tear him to pieces, and Eubank would walk in nice and calm, and they're their father's sons, they're very similar. So a lot will come down to controlling the emotions on Saturday. Like I was just saying in that interview there, you've got a situation where you walk through a tunnel and walk round the pitch at Spurs in front of 65,000 to get into an 18-foot by 18-foot ring to have a fight. It's going to be a violent fight, and it's going to be a fight till the other one can't go on anymore.
During another interview, Eddie Hearn proclaimed that this bout was a genuine 50-50 contest, but he did say that this balance only happens because Eubank Jr. has a size advantage. If size were taken out of the equation, Conor Benn would probably be the favorite because of his explosiveness and hunger, said Hearn. The sheer weight and reach disparity was what evened things out, but Hearn didn't dismiss Benn's chance. He still thinks Conor could have stepped up.
I think the one thing that Chris Eubank has that Conor doesn't in this fight is size and probably strength. What he doesn't have, in my opinion, is the boxing ability, the speed, the movement of Conor Benn. Don't get me wrong, if this fight was at the same weight class, Conor Benn's a big favourite, but Conor Benn's coming up 2 weight classes, and that's what makes this fight a 50-50. Eubank has the size, but Conor has the speed, the sharpness, and in my opinion, the ability.
Echoing Hearn's analysis, up-and-comer Virgil Ortiz also identified size as a key element in this battle. Reminiscing about a previous bout against Eubank Jr., Ortiz said that the physique and natural height of Chris would potentially be a deciding characteristic of the fight. He admitted Eubank's talent, but maintained that size would always make it an uphill task for Conor, particularly because Ben came up 2 weight classes. Ortiz's response was based on experience and a fighter's eye.
Looks like he hits pretty hard. Eubank, I've stood next to him, and he's pretty big. So, I mean, I don't know. It's like you said, maybe the weight could matter, you know. So I don't know, man. But that's a very interesting fight, and I would.
However, way before the eventful fight, things started to become clear that Eubank Jr. did not like the narrative that size was the sole reason why he was favored. With a resolute and blunt retort, he insisted on respect for his record and skill set. He countered that his resume of boxers that he has faced, his ring IQ, and how tough that competition was, had overshadowed any physical advantage he may possess. Eubank insisted that fans and pundits should prefer him due to his established skills in the ring, not just his frame or weight.
You know, where's the fucking respect? You know, I've had 34 fights, 25 KOs, and I can only beat this guy because I'm a bit bigger than him?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I'm gonna beat him because I'm a better fighter than
But
him
you're not.
in every single
But
department.
you're not. If you look at your career's done.
I don't know. But he cannot beat me, that's for sure.
Considering this, boxer and pundit Vidal Riley was firmly in Eubank Jr.'s corner, refuting the size narrative as his greatest strength. Riley pointed out that what truly makes Eubank a favorite is his impressive record and experience fighting top-level fighters. For Riley, Chris has been in with hard-hitting rivals in the trenches, while Conor Benn is only relatively so tested at that level. The seasoning and the level-headed way of Eubank, Riley maintained, are really what stand him in better stead.
I slightly edge it in Chris's favor, just based on previous opponents. It's not even the size thing really. It's just who he's been in there with, and experience is you know, it's one of this priceless. So I kind of go 55-45, Chris.
Scottish world champion Josh Taylor seconded Riley's opinion, saying that Chris Eubank Jr. is the better choice because of his record. Taylor complimented Eubank on his consistency, ruggedness, and the quality of opponents he has fought throughout his career. Taylor contrasted this with the suggestion that Ben still has to prove himself at the top level. For him, this type of fight under the brightest lights is where experience and ring IQ can pay the biggest dividends.
One-sided being, well, Chris Eubank's been in with the better fighters. He's only lost to the world champions. He's been at the highest level. Conor Benn hasn't really fought anybody. No really beat anybody of significance.
Promoter Ben Shalom also put his money on Chris Eubank Jr., citing the fighter's professional conduct during the lead-up. Shalom complimented Eubank for being strong amidst the media surrounding and pre-fight distractions. He forecast a victory for Chris based on his preparation, attitude, and capacity to stay mentally grounded. Shalom read Eubank's maturity and concentration as firm signs that he was prepared to deal with not only the physical battle, but the psychological game in the weeks leading up to it.
For a fair few fights now, he's always professional. He'll always make the weight. He'll always do it.
One-time cruiserweight champion Tony Bellew put his own spin on the Eubank support brigade, recalling his own first-hand recollection of Chris's power in his punching. Bellew made the point that Eubank's punches are not merely quick, they're hurtful. He thought that kind of raw power potentially could be a decisive factor in the battle. If Chris gets home, Bellew suggested, maybe 1 or 2 shots would completely flip the whole direction of the fight. Power, in Bellew's estimation, is an X-factor that shouldn't be discounted.
I was 20 years of age. It's the hardest I've ever been hit in my life. People say, well, you've been stopped. I was fresh as a daisy. This lad hit me with 18-ounce gloves on, with an uppercut I didn't see coming, and for no reason at all. My back leg just kicked out, and I went to him, great shot. And I remember him looking at me as if to say, Adam Booth knows this, he was there. And he had no idea how I took it. He hit me on the button clean.
Since Chris had quite a number of supporters on his corner, Conor likewise had a good number for him. Even though Eddie Hearn balanced his support before the fight, he reaffirmed his belief in Conor Benn's capabilities and growth. Hearn expressed confidence that Ben would show up in peak form, showcasing the best version of himself to date. He stressed that Conor has been through adversity and training hard behind the scenes, and that his hunger, speed, and fearlessness would shine through on fight night. For Hearn, Conor's ceiling is high, and this might be the breakout performance that shows it.
Conor Benn, if we could have programmed Conor Benn, right? Put this into context. We don't need a training camp. We've got a special button that just enables Conor Benn to turn up at the absolute peak of his powers. That's what we got. No excuses. The absolute sharpest version of Conor is coming on Saturday night. And I believe that's going to be good enough.
Boxing commentator Adam Smith gave his voice to the Ben camp, applauding Conor's wild and unorthodox style in the ring. Smith added that this unorthodoxy comes with a good boxing brain, making Conor both dangerous and difficult to prepare for. It was also said in the interview that Conor performed well in a sparring session against William Skull, a seasoned name. This display was taken as an indication that Ben is working at a very high level going into this fight.
Like punch power as well, but the ferocity and wildness of Conor Benn, as well as a boxing brain and the way he's trained for this, you've got to take him extremely seriously, and it wouldn't surprise me if he pulled off the upset.
I mean, Nigel's told pretty much everyone about this spar with William Skull.
Trainer Peter Fury also recognized Conor Benn's ferocity and noted how his increase in weight has actually strengthened him. He cautioned that this new incarnation of Ben is a deadly combo: youth, ferocity, and increased power. Fury also foresaw the types of tactics Chris Eubank Jr. would attempt to employ, including utilizing his jab and managing distance. But he made it known that Ben's ferocity can overwhelm any game plan if Eubank isn't cautious from the beginning.
I think weight classes do matter. I've always said I think young Ben is going to be super strong. He's coming up and he will be bull strong. To go with the aggression as well is a dangerous concoction. So, but, you know, if it was all about sheer power and strength, it's only part of it. You know, there's other things involved in world level boxing. So Eubank's experienced. I think he's going to step back, he's going to try and catch him on the way in, try and cover him up, tie him up. I just think, and try and get Ben into middle rounds.
Respected coach Abel Sanchez finally gave his seal of approval to Conor Benn, asserting his aggression and power will overwhelm Eubank Jr. Sanchez reasoned that Eubank is a heavy technical-based fighter and doesn't possess the physical assertiveness required to manage a fighter like Conor. For him, this isn't a confrontation based on size or experience. It's aggression against finesse. And as far as raw power goes, Sanchez is putting everything on Ben to devastate Chris and leave with the win.
Chris? You stopped him late. You're going to be looking at Conor Benn as being the smaller guy. He's going to be so much stronger than Chris Eubank, because Chris really doesn't use his strength. He tries to use his boxing ability. He's got a nice jab. But he drops his hands and he tries to be on his toes and tries to do things that is not going to be good against a Conor Benn. Conor Benn is going to attack from the first bell to the last bell, and he's going to push him around and muscle him around and foul him, and it's going to be an ugly fight.
And that's all for Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. Now that it's all said and done, did the fight hype up to what you were looking for, or did it disappoint you in some way? Regardless of whether you were riding with Conor's upset or betting on Chris's veteran skills, we want to hear what you're thinking of how it went down. Share your reactions in the comments below. And if you guys like the coverage, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and hit the little bell icon for more fight breakdowns and post-fight analysis. Catch you in the next one.